Hi, everyone. This is Monty Robertson at Alpha One Chevrolet Buick, and I've got a real special one for you today. We focus a lot on the hometown heroes in our region and the people that are willing to make a difference in the community and have the courage to, jump into sometimes this crazy political atmosphere. And I've got one of the champions, I think, right now for TX17. That's going to be Jason Storm Nelson running for Congress. How are you today?
Monty, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me up here. This has been a long time for us to get this together, but man, I'm excited.
Man, me too. The thing about having a dealership like this, we get a little busy, but these type of endeavors, when it comes to community based, pro business, just putting ourselves out there in the way that we feel about the community and what we want to do and help others around us, I'm all in.
Yep. And you know what? If the last thing that I have to worry about is a business being too busy to spend time with me, that's a good thing.
Man, thank you. I'll take that
Yep.
as something that's good. Now, I want to explain to the audience real quick. This is a non-political podcast today. What we wanted to do is get to know you a little bit. I've heard a lot of the things that you've done, including some of the speeches, and I think a lot of times, Jason, you end up in a situation where you got to go straight into the politics. And today, I didn't want to do that. We want to focus on the person, on the family, on the incredible work that you did in the military. And for me, I thank you for everything you've done in serving this country, and then to come out and be courageous enough and willing and desire to go into this crazy political environment. Man, your courage is incredible.
Hey, that's incredibly kind. I got to tell you, one, I don't feel as I've done anything courageous in my life. I think that I've done what I've been asked to do, what I signed up to do, what I promised to do. And in some cases, what I swore an oath to do. I know many, many brave people. There are people who go so far outside of what the scope of their duty is and put themselves, their lives, their families at risk. But I do appreciate the sentiment. And by the way, you can call me Storm. Everybody does except for my wife.
I'm
I,
sure she thinks you create a few storms every once in a while.
we actually did. We created three of them.
I get that.
Yeah, well, I mean, my children. And then we have, so it's, uh, that's awesome. And I appreciate that. But, I joined the Marine Corps on my 18th birthday because I knew that I needed to grow up, and I knew that that serving my country would do it. And it's anybody who thinks they're fiercely patriotic at the age of 18 when you're not at war. It's 1997. I wasn't. I was just somebody who knew I needed guidance. I needed to grow up. I knew that I had some talents, um, and when I moved from there, as I got older, and by the time I went into the Army, I it was different at that point. So there's just different things that in your life that you do, and I don't think at any point anyone ever looks back and says, "Gosh, that was just such a sacrifice I made for everybody." Wow. And I got to tell you, it's even worse when you look up to people. When I meet Medal of Honor recipients, multiple Purple Heart recipients, and I sit here and say, "Man, thank you." Or, "Ma'am, thank you for your service. Wow." And they look at me and they go, "I haven't done anything. You ought to see this other guy."
Right.
Yeah, right.
But that's the humbleness within a warrior. I know when I went into the military, my parents had decided to get me in early. I went into the U.S. Army, ended up wanting to be into airborne, but I got hurt in the training and was sent to Fort Polk, Louisiana, the great people of Leesville, right next to us. So, most of my family had served in the military. My dad actually, he drove over a roadside bomb in Iraq in the Green Zone, training people with snipers and things like that. And so our family's very closely tied to it. And I got to tell you, I just thank you so much. I mean, I understand the sacrifice. I know it was a great moment for me in my life. I needed it when I was young. It helped me become a man and be more mature. And I wanted to find out a little bit that you've had an incredible military career. Unlike mine was a few years, and then I came out to be a heavy metal rock singer. We can talk about that later. But yeah, tell us about everything that happened.
Hold on. After the whole hat conversation and should the hair or no hair thing, you're going to tell me that you used to be a heavy metal rock singer.
I had
Please,
to throw that at you.
please tell me that it was some long wig or hair that you did. You grow out all your hair? Is that what happened?
The pictures are bad. I'll show you the pictures here in a minute. So I wanted to save this for you because I wanted to keep this as light and fun as we could.
You used up all your hair early. Why did you do that to yourself?
I lost pretty much all of my hair 2 years ago.
You know what, though? Your head is much better shape than mine. Mine is flat in the back.
How can you even tell you have a full set of hair? I hate it when guys say that and they have a
What? No,
full
I
set
have
of
like
hair.
yeah, but I have a flat head. I know I do. Seriously, there's only one advantage to this, and that's if I fall down a hill, I get like one rotation and then I just slide a little bit. It's
Oh,
sort of a great defense mechanism.
oh, I
But
definitely have this on the
no,
back of my
but
head.
yeah, if I shaved my head, my kids have perfect little round Charlie Brown heads. And I'm so jealous. I'm just like, man, if I had a round head, I'd be so, just like, how successful would I be if I had a round head?
You know, we never feel this about ourselves. People say that I have the head for being bald, and I'm like, I'm glad you're saying that, but I think it's a feel good moment.
What?
You know,
That's like a consolation. Like, that's a really nice dress for a used one. Like, I don't know what to say. I think it looks great. I didn't tell you to take off the hat so I would look like I had more hair. I said it looks good, man. You can pull it off. It's
yeah, I
good.
think that's what it was at
Where
the end of the day.
where did this
Um,
conversation just go?
I remember when they cut my hair going into the military.
Oh,
And
man.
I was so freaked out. And now I could join. I'd be like, I'm ready to go. I've already got the head for it. Let's do it.
So I left MEPS. There was somebody pulled a fire alarm. I was supposed to go with this other guy. I didn't really know him, but I was going to have a guy there, and I was so skinny. I was like 128 pounds.
You said was?
Was.
You're still skinny.
Well, I'm skinny now.
I mean, you're healthy. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, but
Nobody needs a skinny for
I'm
me.
at like 190 now, but I had cancer, so I'm like, I was. If you look, it's kind of sad. I had one of my consultants said to the campaign, he said, "Hey, you used to look like an NFL linebacker. When was that?" And I said, 3 years ago. And he goes,
Wow.
yeah. And I said, yeah, it's kind of funny. I never thought I would get broken to the point that I would get back. But even at 190, so now if you see this now, you got to realize take off 60 pounds.
Wow.
And I went to Marine Corps boot camp like that. And so anyway, I'm at MEPS, and you remember MEPS.
Yeah.
And at the time, let's see, we were stationed out of somewhere in upstate New York. So we ended up, I was at Albany,
Okay.
and I was going to Paris Island. But I wasn't supposed to go that day. When I went in there, somebody pulled a fire alarm, and I'm not kidding. I got shunted into a group that was swearing in. I didn't even have MOS or anything like that.
Oh,
And
wow.
somehow I just kept going. I ended up on a plane, ended up in Paris Island. I remember sitting in the airport and having to put my head down and eat a bag nasty for the first time. And that's a bag lunch that you would never give your children. I want to
Hey, man,
clarify what a
although
bag
it's full of
nasty is.
protein and stuff, you got to be ready for combat.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Combat. I'm gonna fight somebody else for their brownie.
That's right.
That's right. That's the only combat. It's like prison rules. Yeah. So you go in. You got one corporal in there watching like 150 people in the airport, and I went there. I remember standing on the yellow footprints and turned 18. And on the yellow footprints, and I remember looking at this kid, and we both had long hair, horrible '90s haircut, the shaved head. They're bringing it back.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
the shaved head up to here with the long hair. I
The
thought,
mullet.
no. It's like, went all the way around, but it would just be shaved. I'm not
Oh,
cool
yeah.
enough to pull off a mullet. It's
Yeah.
that flat head.
Yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Do you keep,
We'll leave that
keep
to him.
bringing up my flat head? Is that
No,
what your intent
you
was?
got hair,
But a
man. It's good.
mullet, I couldn't do it. You went right for the throat. Wow. I never said anything about your head, but positive stuff, sir. And so,
I had a mullet too, though, when I was a kid.
I did. When I was a kid, I had, what's worse? I had a rat tail.
Oh,
Remember the rat tails?
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
See, this is what we were talking about today. So
Yeah.
everybody went, hey, it's the guy running for Congress. What are they doing at Alpha One Chevrolet Buick? We're talking about hair, bald heads, and joining the military to grow up.
Yeah, if you want to see politics, just go to storm4congress.com, and you can read all my policy points while I sit here and make fun of my head shape.
That's right.
Right.
I want to get into a couple of things because I've listened to quite a few of the speeches that you've done, and I've also been listening to a lot of podcasts. I mean, I drove 3.5 hours here. That's all I heard was your voice, which is great. You're good on radio. But I want to ask you about a couple of things. You had an extraordinary military career, and I think some of you can talk about, some you can't. But what's amazing is that there's a correlation to the themes that I see in your life, which are community and pro business. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I don't want to turn this into a commercial for how awesome you are, but I'll explain to people how we met, and I'll tie that in.
Okay.
So I work in civil affairs and psychological operations. What that means, so the definition of our job is, if you were to look it up, is to mitigate and minimize civilian casualties during kinetic operations by
Wow.
working with uh, battle space operator, community partner, so forth and so on. Kinetic operations sounds like war. Sometimes it is,
Yeah.
but it's also displaced civilians, humanitarian crises,
That's incredible, though.
environmental disaster. And by that I mean weather, earthquakes. Just civil affairs is in USASOC, the United States Army Special Operations Command. But what's so unique about it is it's filled with so many people who
My
just have
apologies.
amazing um, individual skill sets and the ability to go in and work with communities. And so, why does that apply here? Well, we work with people who hate each other, who have limited resources, and we ask them to pool those resources to create simple solutions for complex problems.
That's awesome.
And
We need a lot of that right
we
now.
do, we do. And so, what we do in our field is that we need to constantly aggregate information and be interfacing with stakeholders in the community. So I drove through Rockdale and I looked around and I said, as I did every single town in all 14 counties in this district, and I said, where is the hub in this town? There's lots of ways you can look for that. When it's a business, when you know it's a business and not necessarily, let's say, like if you were to go down into Rosebud, it's the judge,
Right.
great guy, and he also happens to own the coffee shop, which in so one of four places, the tavern and the judge, right?
Great place to own if you're running for office. So
Right,
just keep that in
exactly.
mind.
The only place where you could eat breakfast. That's a smart move. I got to keep that in mind.
That is. That's good stuff.
But you folks have the cleanest business. I wait, that sounds awful. Rewind. I mean, like when I
I
was
love
driving
this.
by, it
This is
was the
live. Man.
yeah, it was the shiniest. I didn't. It was the. I knew right away this was the hub, so I came in here, and that's true, right? I came in blind,
Yeah.
and I just said I want to talk to the GM, and he just happened to be here, and it was like, "What is it?" I said, "I can tell that this is the hub," and you said, "Crazy! Guess what we're doing? We're doing
That's
these
right.
programs where we're working with all of these." Uh, I'm never
Community
gonna.
leaders and
I
the
really,
Rotary and yeah.
I wanted to pull it back. I'm like, no, I didn't say cleanest. I meant largest. That's so silly.
I will
It is.
we take clean, but what's amazing about Rockdale, we get this tremendous amount of rail dust that hits all of our vehicles. So any of the people listening to the podcast when they drive by are going to go, man, every time it doesn't matter if we wash the cars in the morning, by the time it's 2 or 3, just so everybody knows on this podcast, we wash our vehicles a lot, but they look dirty all the time. So I'm glad you said something. I finally get to talk to everybody about
As penance to the town, I will now be giving free car washes for the next 2 days.
That's right.
Come and see your local congressional candidate. Yeah.
You know, I want to say this, Jason. I think these are the kind of things that people needed to know about you. This is where we're being real. I mean, we want to have things off the cuff and just be natural. And
Well,
after
people
all the things I've
deserve
seen,
that, right? I mean,
yeah,
people look. I ask people all the time, and again, this isn't political. It's just let's just speak in general terms.
yeah,
The word is representative.
right.
So they're your employee.
Amen.
They're supposed to be your advocate. They're supposed to. What you guys are doing here in your project here at is that you guys have made the decision to be an integral part of your community. You don't need to do all of this. This
Yeah.
isn't just about business to you.
No, it you know, we've got a heart for helping our environment. I mean, I think our leadership structure realizes that you can pay it forward. You can invest enough in the community and the people around you that begins to bleed back into you in a positive way. And I think last year was big for us. You know, we took over a company that had been here for a very long time, really a known entity. We, as we say on our sign, 60 years of knowledge of the way you do things. And so what we wanted to do is say, listen, we're very community based. We're so glad we're in Rockdale, Texas, and we want to help everyone see how great this city is, because we are the Golden Triangle. We're about to blow up like you wouldn't believe, and we'll get to talk about that here in just a moment. But yeah,
But you're
thank you.
emphasizing a very good point there. So you didn't tear it down. You didn't come in and take what the best practices of someone and remove them. What you did was you actually integrated your best practices with an institutional best practice, probably eliminated some of yours and their bad practices,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. Uh, you modernized things that probably need to be modernized. You brought forward traditional values that needed to probably be brought forward. And here you are sitting here with also not only having that advantage, but now you're looking to propagate that out into the world. And that's one of the things that I love about this district. And I keep telling people, if you have the right advocate, you can take best practices, whether it be in education, whether it be in small business development, whether it be in um, uh, uh, when you look at, I'm trying to think specifically, because so both Baylor has this wonderful program where they're doing technological development, and the interesting thing about that is we've been pushing it to Elon Musk and getting him to try and co-sponsor this. Why? Not because we expect that every single project is going to work. It's about the idea of trying and applying best practices, and once they work out of this region, moving it forward. So we're no longer
Yeah.
known as just a any one industry. You're not just Dr. Pepper. You're not just if you're down here in Austin, you're not just, I don't know, the weird Austin place, or And as you move throughout that region, you go, okay, we're more than just that. We're a place with great people with great ideas who are willing to fail to
Yeah.
succeed.
And you have
And
to sometimes. You need the
right,
scars of the bounces and bruises and things that come along the way in trying to get a business off the ground. You know.
absolutely. And then you take those things and then you push them out into the world. And then let's see what else they do with it. Because
Amen.
as a matter of fact, that's the great thing about America. I don't care what anybody says. We do make the best pizza.
It,
And I've been to Frankfurt and I've been to Hamburg. Sorry, but we have the best hot dogs and hamburgers. And I'm not
what?
sorry about that. Yes, we do.
Have you been to TX Burger right here in
No,
Rockdale, Texas?
I meant we do in the world is what I meant. I meant in the world. The
I was
United
just kidding
States
you.
does it better is what I'm
I
saying.
have to put the shout out to
You
TX Burger.
should.
They
You
they
should.
feed us all the time.
They do. They're good. Oh man, what's that barbecue place? I want to do a shout out, but now I'm
Brett's
yes.
Barbecue,
Yes.
Backyard Barbecue. Brett
Yes.
Boren is amazing. You know, he's running for mayor now.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Is he holding a rally with free barbecue?
If he is, I'm going to be there. I won't
I'm
risk it.
saying,
Yeah.
it's like you just look at him and just say, I know this is sort of a reverse bribe, but
I got to tell you, this whole atmosphere that we're in, and I want to get back to your military career because you did a good job of segueing to something else. But I just think that the current political environment, and that's as far as we'll go political today, is has really motivated a lot of people because now you even have bourbon-based barbecue sauce B-Dub, which is Braden Wallace off the Can't Make It Up podcast. He's running for city council. We got Brad Caffey running for city council. I think they're competing against each other. You've got Brett Bourne now running for mayor. And so, I'm glad. I'm glad that we're in an environment that is motivating people to get out and do what you're doing. And that's why I wanted you on this show because, man, it takes a lot of courage right now. And, I want to hear a little bit about that courage, but I also want to hear more about this military stuff because I think there's some correlations to what you're going to do for our communities straight out of the military.
well, so part of best practices is understanding that what is unique about a community, right? So communities are like fingerprints. They really are, right?
Agreed.
Um, they are individual.
Hmm.
Uh, they clearly identify,
Extremely unique.
right? Extremely. They clearly identify who you are. People can look at your fingerprint and know. And if you work really hard, you can keep them a really long time.
That's true.
Okay, and they don't pass on; they do evolve. But what we do in my work is understanding that it's not your job to impose upon people what you think is best for them. It's for you to go to people and listen to them.
So true.
Find experts that will also listen to them. So I can't just go find an expert, right? So let's say I'm talking to you. So you're a city council, mayor, other community people, because you don't just want to go to the elected officials. So we've got all the Lions Club and everybody else. They're all sitting there and they say, we need business. And I say, I hear you and I listen to you and I hear you out and I say, great, I've got an expert and I hand him over, and that expert says, "Got it. Thanks for introducing me, Storm. We're going to run forward with this." And then he closes the door on you. And
Yeah.
you go, and he goes, "Well, I'm an expert." Well, you might be an expert in developing business, but this town may not want a Tesla factory.
Right.
They may want
Or they don't know they want
they may not know what they
it.
want. Maybe
That's
that's the
right.
point.
Yeah. There's a
They
lot of logistics and a lot of things to work out.
right.
How
So
does this impact me as a person that's living right off 79 or close to Rockdale?
exactly, and you bring up an interesting point. So you guys have a crypto mining company here, and one of the things is interesting, and there's positives and negatives that everyone's going to say about that, right?
Windstone, yeah.
Yeah,
They're amazing.
but one thing that they've done that's just absolutely amazing, and they work well within their community as well. But one of the things that they do that's amazing to me is that they do what we call parallel infrastructure development. So they bring in they needed to develop a certain facet and portion of the infrastructure in order for them to succeed.
Amen. And
But
and that's
there
a very smart plan.
correct, but
Yeah.
there are other industries that could not afford. They needed, let's say, that and some. They needed to upgrade some water issues, or they needed to upgrade other aspects of the infrastructure. But now they say, "Oh, now it's financially feasible because it was paired up. Is the community does the community want us there?" And it requires foresight, and it requires the willingness to say, this one didn't work out. Let's go back to the drawing board. We tried. Turns out the community that it's not going to match up, but we're not going to stop. We're not going to give up.
Amen. Yeah,
Nope.
that's true.
And I've done that in many places around the world, and it's amazing. Sometimes it's as simple as a well being put into a village. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not putting in the well.
Yeah.
We did the assessment. We went in and found the people to do it. We worked with the communities. We're
All
there.
required for that project.
Right, right. We're there till the end, and then we go back. We do what's called a measure of effectiveness. It's a metric where we go and make sure that the problem we were trying to solve. Like people say, "Well, you brought water in." Well, the goal wasn't to bring water in, believe it or not. The goal was to lower infant mortality rates.
Yeah.
The goal was to improve
Wow,
sanitation.
that blows your mind, though, doesn't it? When you think you're doing this this water well, but it's really the implications of what it's going to be long term.
Right. So you do this. We call it an assessment, right? An area assessment, and you start to identify these key problems. And as you look through it, you see. So everything has a first, second, and third order effect, and intended and unintended consequences, right? So what is happening? So we look at what we hope are root causes and identify the best way to mitigate, right? And we're presented with options sometimes. But what we have to then do is plan out and say, this is what we think is going to happen.
Right.
This is the metric. So we want to see infant mortality go down this far. We want to see sanitation. It's like the Oregon Trail, and I'm not trying to be funny or lighthearted about it, but it's like your oxen died of dysentery, and you're going, man, you have to track those things. It happens in third world nations. It happens in even first world nations, and it's important. It's important that you look at what are you really trying to solve. When you say mitigate, minimize human suffering, that's an actual thing. But the thing is, you go back and they build the well, and you got to go, well, first of all, if I'm in the picture, I did something wrong
Oh yeah.
because it's not about me.
And what a concept, right? I mean,
Right.
we're talking about a deep human hu- humanity issue. Where you're caring about another human being to that degree. You're like, we got to look long term at the implications of
Well,
how it's going to be.
and the goal is to empower them. And we're doing this we're talking about a well, but we could talk about universities and entire industries that have been built that I've been a part of those projects. But what I'm saying is I'm just using the well.
Yeah.
So it's not my job to go. I'll sit in the shuras, the meetings, the roundtables, and see these things happen. But in the end, your goal is that these people begin to talk to each other, because you're not just solving one problem. You're hopefully creating community bonds between people where they begin to open up about other issues and become willing to solve them in the similar capacity when you're not there.
That's true. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, I look at the electrical infrastructure that they built a while back ago here in this region.
Right.
I mean, almost all the growth that we're going to see, the companies that are moving here are coming here because they have the electrical bandwidth, so to speak, in order to operate those businesses. So it starts with this type of endeavor, which everybody was like, why do we need this big of an electrical system. Well, now we're going to be probably the fastest growing region in the United States for sure, in Texas, all because of that backbone that business could build around. So it's the same kind of premise.
It is, but you know what? We need to continue to interact with these communities. I can't tell you how many meetings I've been to where it's just in Robertson County. They are not eager for massive development,
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
and
You're going to get a lot of that too. You're going to get
correct,
pros and cons all
right.
the way across the board, right?
So what people want to know is that things are being well thought out, that the infrastructure is being laid before it's needed, so that people are not. No one wants to live in a construction zone the rest of their life, right?
No, and there's so much of it right now, and I know that, you know, most of the time it's just all the inherent problems of that and the frustrations from it. But you know, I've also been in the Dallas region. If you go to Dallas right now, and you start looking at the infrastructure that is finally finished, and you get, you know, around the major parts of the city and the beautiful bridges and everything that's finally
Oh, it's
built.
great.
But man, I remember living through building that environment, and it was one of the reasons why we moved this direction.
Yeah.
So
And so it's not, so again, you have to take all of these things into consideration. There is no such thing as an easy button.
mm,
You do need to delegate, and you don't want to micromanage, but that doesn't mean you fire and forget.
amen.
Um, and and you need to check people's quality of life. And one of the most important things, and you know this from your time in the Army, uh, unintended consequences are a big deal.
They are. Yeah.
We have to take responsibility for that. When you're talking about, it's like a field exercise. If I went out with the platoon and lost somebody, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it stays with you
I'm
for
talking about.
life.
I'm not talking about in war. I'm talking about training. Right. I'm
Yeah.
talking about training. I walk out with a platoon. Let's just physically say
So you're talking
Private
about
Smith just
meandering through the
disappeared. Right.
woods.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
We don't know.
AWOL.
And you're
Okay.
going, okay, that's a platoon, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
Like,
you can't
you
do
are
this.
not qualified to do anything. Uh, but what's sad is when you move out with a brigade combat team, or you're playing in the box with a couple of them, and it's such large, somebody's getting hurt,
Yeah.
and it's not okay. You try to mitigate as much as possible. You got to train hard though. And when somebody gets hurt, sometimes people get badly hurt. And, you look at your risk mitigation and you say, we did the best we could. You're never going to do anything at a large scale, which is why you have to work so hard at a local level to monitor it.
Amen.
But you're never going
Yeah.
to move something that large and not have unintended consequences. But what you have to do is be willing to say, walk right up to that person and say, that was an unintended consequence. We're going to make this right. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I care about you. And mean it. You have to mean it when you tell somebody. I my campaign manager keeps getting weird with me. He says, "You're always telling grown adults that you love them," and I said, "Yes, I
What's
go to
wrong with
every
that?
event.
Yeah,
I mean,
love's good. It's strong. It's
Monty,
powerful.
I
It's
love you, brother.
game changer.
You guys
Thank
do
you. Love you,
great
brother.
work, and you're a veteran, and I care about you, and I am not ashamed to admit that. And why?
Can we get more of that?
I know. Now,
I don't.
because people think like, well, you do that, you can't go be fierce. You can do both.
Oh yeah, storms
You
can be
can
full of
speak
love.
softly and carry a big stick.
I agree.
Yes.
Which I love this thing.
I know.
So I want to. We probably got about 5-6 minutes left here. I've got to ask about your incredible serving family, because I mean, not only did they serve when you were in the military, and you know what I mean by that.
Yes.
I come from a military family. Um, Now you're going through all this incredible political, just, I mean, it's landmines, it's bombs coming in, and that's why we wanted to have this show where it was none of that. It was
Right.
just, hey, what's going on with Jason? What's going on with the beautiful family that you have? Are they hanging in there?
It's hard because my daughter, they like her Twitter account has just been blowing up with people attacking
I
her all the
bet.
time. And she's only 6, so it's very difficult. She could
Oh
barely
no.
read the insults.
Daughter at 6 has Twitter.
No, she doesn't. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
yeah.
Of course she doesn't. I'm glad I could say things with a straight face.
Yeah.
I don't lie, but I mean, I guess that worked that one time. No, so we have a 6-year-old. Well, okay, first of all, let me talk about, shout out to my incredible wife.
Yeah.
She is she's an under ocean photographer. She is one of the smartest, if not the smartest people. I don't want to say the smartest person I know because then it implies that marrying me was also smart, and I'm still, the jury's still out on that one. But
Well, she was pretty smart.
yeah,
I
but
think so.
she's such an amazing woman, and she's 7 months pregnant right now
What?
and dealing with all of this.
Oh my
And
goodness.
seeing as I just retired from the army, she's yeah. And then we have three. We have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I want to clarify. So my children's middle names are the ones that I give out. I do not want stalkers. So that's why
Yeah.
I don't spread. But my kids' full names are even cooler. So it's really hard to give them out even because then I want to, but then I don't want someone, I
I
mean,
don't
we've already
blame
had
you.
people try to break into our house. We've had, it's been actually kind of a messy month. We've had the sheriffs out there numerous times.
Because you don't have a right to have an opinion, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah, I know.
you have an opinion. No, we want to create, this system where nobody has an opinion, and we can still stay political or non-political in that
Yes.
because that's a
Yes.
generic statement.
Yeah.
We should never try to control information. I mean, my whole concept on this was I just listened to all these things you had done, and nobody got to know you. And I don't even know if we're done with this. I mean, I think we've got a lot of things to go through the political spectrum for you in the election cycle, but I wanted you to have a chance to say who you are, and so I know we got a few more minutes. Is there anything you need to tell us that we need to know about Jason Storm Nelson, the person?
Well, so I won't leave them hanging because I said, well, I'll tell you their middle names and then
I
paused.
know, right?
It's Danger, Thunder, and Lightning.
Oh my goodness,
Now,
that's an entire family of
uh,
just action.
right. So it's actually DJ Thunder and MC Lightning. It's
Oh,
just their initials, but and that is their legal. But
be careful, no
what's
more information.
yeah. But what's interesting is that DJ Thunder is he was born with special needs, and he had child apraxia of speech as well, and he has he's the silent one. And I was like, so we named the Thunder one the one that wasn't talking at
That's
all.
interesting.
And now he's finally, after working with the most amazing doctors here and speech therapists, he's finally talking. Still a lot of issues to work through, but he's doing amazing. And now we said, okay, there's the Thunder. I guess it just took a little while. It had to come
That's
after,
awesome.
but it had to come apparently after Lightning.
Man, that is the kind of stories that we want to hear, and I think, like I said, there's a lot of aspects of you as just a person, and as a professional, and as a military veteran, as a father, as a husband, and I think we might have to do another one of these. So, I mean, I just what I don't want to do is take this thing out too long, but I want to give you a chance to say that, and um, you know, what is important to you
Okay.
as we wind this thing down.
Well, first, let me say I really appreciate you letting me come on here and make this non-political. I actually told my wife, she's going to drive 2 hours to go to. First of all, anywhere I drive in this district is 2 to 5 hours away.
Yeah, I know this.
And secondly, I appreciate the opportunity because it's hard to. I mean, we're always told you get 2 minutes to talk, 2 minutes talking. I'm going, but I want to get to know people, and then it's a room full of 100 people that I have 15 minutes to shake their hand. And if we're heading into an election, and a lot of these parts of this district aren't inside, are new to my district, and some of them got left behind, and some have been here. It's easy to say politics is too personal. We can't talk about it. We can't be so
It gets a
let's
little crazy,
right. So
you
let's
know.
let's make it personal. Okay. The world right now deserves adults.
I like it.
Deserves adults doing adult things. If you feel like you are, you have adults representing you in Washington, D.C., and if you feel like down here at the local level, your constituency services, that your member of Congress cares about you, genuinely cares about you, then I shouldn't be running. But me, I'm running because I know that's not the case, I'm, by the way, 9% approval rating. Nobody likes their member of Congress. Can't just be somebody else's congressman.
Right.
But
Yeah, that is not a problem right now. Approval ratings.
but if I were to impress upon people anything, is that I'm accountable. I make mistakes because I try things. Um, I'm willing to be wrong in order to be right in the long term to help people. Whatever I can do. And it is done through genuinely caring about who people are and what they want. And I wish that I could look every single person in the eye in this district and tell them, I care about you. I genuinely care
Awesome.
about you. And
Awesome.
that doesn't mean I'm perfect. We're
Don't
not
need it.
gonna.
We don't need perfection. We've
Hey,
already seen what we thought that was,
yeah,
and it's not good.
you and I, we keep saying this non-political. It's not political to want your children to have clean drinking water.
No.
It's not political to want your children to have safe, effective schools.
Yes.
It is not political. It is not political
I'm voting as we're going.
right to want to have a small business be treated with the same rules that big business gets when it comes to shutting them down.
Right.
It's not political to say that I get to make decisions about what goes into my children's bodies, and that's none of that's political.
Yeah.
It's just something we should all agree is the core principle of equal protection under the law.
Probably need a little bit more parenting anyway, right?
I got to tell you, based on I love the kids in my neighborhood, except for one of them, and the main reason is he drives like a crazy person. And he's already wrecked one truck right in front of my house. And I'm going, but other than that, the most respectful kids I've ever seen. Just great. It's awesome.
Well, my
Good
dad
parents.
was in the military, and he had an incredible life. He was also undercover police officer. I can't give away too much either, because of that lifestyle. He protected nuclear shipments in Pantex, and he even drove over a roadside bomb and survived in Iraq. But my mother raised me from the age of 3 on, and so I was raised in a single parent household. And I can tell you that you can be a parent in a single parent household. You can be a parent in a dual with mom, dad, or whatever. So, what you need is a lot of attention to the young ones and love, and so the reason I bring that up, I think it's incredible. Some of the experiences that you've had. I thought early on when we first met that I wanted to be a little bit of a part of getting the world to know who you were, and I thought, man, look at this guy. He's going from one town to another after another. And I just can't say enough good things about your desire to make change and your desire to make it right for all of us. I know that we got to wind this thing down,
Well,
but man, I appreciate you.
I do want to touch on one thing you just said because that's kind of crazy. Did you know that my wife and I are both adopted?
Really.
Yes.
I see that.
Yeah.
I see that survivor. I see that love of humanity
Yeah.
in you that comes out of that.
So it's very funny. I
Yeah.
just want to point this out so people can get to know the difference between us. My wife says, that always made me feel like I was picked. And I, because I was older when I was adopted, said, man, it
What a
always made me
concept.
feel like I could always be put back.
What a concept for both sides.
Right. No, I'm
I
just
mean, both of
kidding.
you
I
are
did
just
not
throwing
think
stuff.
Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. And the kid down the street, Travis, I'm not mad at you. Just slow down.
That's right,
Right.
Travis. We're not coming after you. In fact, maybe good things are coming around. So I want to thank everybody that checked into Alpha One Chevrolet Buick today. I mean, it is amazing that we'll have these type of interviews, and we're just trying to let the world know there are some incredible people here in TX17 and in the Milam County region and Robertson, as you had talked about, here in Rockdale, Texas, and thank you so much for the time that you spent with us
Hey,
today.
Monty, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for this opportunity to get to know all of all the great people that are working with you to make this community stronger, to build a stronger infrastructure. And I don't just mean electricity, although you can get electricity from people working together, but
That's right. Which we're doing right now.
right. But all of the great work that you guys, the nonprofit work that you're doing in your community, this is not a paid advertisement. You're not just doing great things. You're doing very specific things that people want and have asked you to do because it matters to them. And it's easy to just go do something nice. It's much harder to do something nice that people ask for. And you guys are doing it. And I'm proud to be here. And I really mean that.
I really appreciate that, and I take it all in and with humbleness. I mean, we're still a work in progress. We have, some great things happening here at the store where we're looking at different ways to do things. But I want to thank everybody for checking in now for One Chevrolet Buick. We appreciate this community. We appreciate our small part in the great scheme, and we hope to see you again soon on the next podcast.